Dear ladies and gentlemen, this is day 203 of Ukrainian resistance and fight for freedom. My name is Vasyl Samokhvalov, and our guest today is Serhii Bratchuk, spokesperson for Odesa Oblast military administration. Um, Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. Our first question is about the war. Kherson and Kherson region are still under occupation, and part of Odessa is also under threat of occupation. So could you give us the update of the situation? Unfortunately, today we had air raid warning in the morning. Luckily, nothing happened, but there is a bigger number of enemies ships in the Black Sea, and the six of them are missile carriers, and these are tactical level of ships. They have caliber missiles on board. We understand that they are on duty, and also there are Air Force ships. So we have to remember about the threat from the air, strategic aviation that can take off from the territory of Russia, and of course coastal bastion complexes, Onyx missiles. So some time ago they were launched towards Odessa, and it happened so that one of them nearly ricocheted to Crimea. It landed in the sea, and it was neutralized. We understand that the threat remains. Speaking of the threat from Transnistria region, all military and combat orders that are performed by our troops are performed at a certain level, and I believe if there is any provocation from the air, so it will be responded effectively. We understand that the situation is under complete control. Same is true about our region and about our city, so the situation is under control. Everything is happening according to the plan. We fulfill our commitments towards our evacuees, towards the grain corridor, etc. We will talk about grain corridor later. Putin made a statement that we either take the grain in the wrong direction or we use the wrong vessels. So, of course, Russia is unhappy about the situation in the battlefront, and they are looking for new ways to attack Ukraine. Are there any threats to the grain corridor, and are there any alternative ways? I know that the day before yesterday, France and Romania made a joint statement about the increase of export through Constance. Speaking of grain corridor, today we can draw some outcomes for 1.5 months. More than 3 million tons have already been exported, speaking accurately, so this is 3,150,000 tons. So another 3 major ships have to leave Odessa port, and they carry 153,000 tons of agricultural produce. 134 ships already left our ports, and they moved to the port of the destination. So that was in 90 days, in 45 days of this project realization. Speaking of other ways, other routes, so this is the Danube River, this is the railway, this is the automobile roads, etc. Speaking of response of Russia, so that was absolutely predictable that Russia definitely was going to express their indignation, and they will definitely try to somehow disrupt all the negotiations and all the arrangements, and definitely the leading role will be played by Putin here. We understand that these narratives supported in their informational environment. There are certain narratives that are addressed to Ukrainian media environment. There are some fake news that not all Ukrainian citizens are happy with the work of the grain corridor. Therefore, we understand that psychological and information disinformation is still there, and if when, to be precise, this grain arrangement is complete and is fulfilled, then Russia will probably try to withdraw from this agreement and will try to torpedo it. Because grain agreement, this is the stage or the initiative that allows Ukraine to meet its international commitments, what our country does during the war. I believe that this is unprecedented case. This is unique case during the wartime. And we understand that exporting grain means replenishing our budget, giving jobs, because ports are in operation, people get remuneration, and for us it's a solid way out. But Russia is trying with their informational narratives, they are trying to disrupt this process, but we have to respond to it. About the narratives of Russia, Russian propaganda journalists, so they said that the only danger that threats that is the danger to to Russian soldiers is from the tight hug of Odessa people. So could you talk about the presence of collaborators in your region and their activity? Of course, we have subversive reconnaissance groups, so they work 24/7. We keep arresting people who make propaganda about Russian peace, and during the investigative stage, of course, we confirmed these people were involved in subversive activity. We have uncovered the whole network of FSB of Russian Federation, and its leader was detained not far from Odessa, military civilian operation. Our secret service also are trying to detain people who leak the information to the enemy, who actually leak the information about the infrastructure, about strategic objects. Speaking about heartwarming hug, there are still people in Odessa who try to hug the enemy, but they want to hug it in order to choke them. So, of course, there were some let's say, narratives about the love to Russians in Odessa earlier this year, but now things changed, and I can assure you that Odessa was, is, and will be part of Ukraine, and they have demonstrated their patriotism and their love for freedom, and we do all the commitments that are in the scope of our duties and responsibilities. There are lots of people who are from Odessa who fight in Kherson region, and I'm very proud of them. Speaking of Odessa as Ukrainian city, for the past few days, there were a few events related to the monument of Empress Catherine II. So sometimes it's vandalized, so it's sprinkled with paint, etc. So what is it? So how can you address this issue? This is up to law enforcement how to qualify such vandalism, such activities. It's not up to me to answer this question. But speaking about the monument, so basically it's not even the monument because it doesn't have the status of the monument. It's a figurine of Catherine II. And there are also other figures who were the founder fathers of Odessa. So they were taken from museum, and I believe that there are places in museum. So our administration made it very clear, and our position was supported by President Zelensky when he commented the petition that was submitted to him regarding the figurine of Empress Catherine II in Yekaterinska Square in Odessa. We are talking about the fact that City Council on the 19th of September is going to hold public hearing. Let's see what the outcomes will be, but the ball is in the court of City Council of Odessa, and they have to take this decision. So there is nothing complex here. Thank you very much. We are going to follow the public hearing. Our guest was Serhii Bratchuk, spokesperson of Odesa Oblast Military Administration, and our next briefing is going to be at noon. We will have a group of guests, and they will be presenting new, unique